Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, if you have lived as long as I have, you know that secrets have a funny way of eating you from the inside out. They are like a termite in the wood of a beautiful house. Everything looks perfectly fine on the outside, but inside the foundation is crumbling to dust. That is exactly what I see when I look at Brook Lynn these days. Bless her heart, she is walking around Port Charles carrying a burden so heavy it would bring the strongest man to his knees. The guilt is just radiating off her plain as day to anyone who really takes a good, long look. With Curtis Ashford's trial kicking off this week, you can just feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut with a butter knife. And right in the middle of it all is Brook Lynn, wrestling with a secret that could blow the whole town wide open. It really makes you stop and think about how one single moment, one split-second decision can completely alter the course of so many lives. I watch Brook Lynn now, and I see a young woman who is absolutely terrified of the truth. She is caught between a rock and a hard place, and it is entirely of her own making. The trial of Curtis Ashford is pulling at her conscience every single minute of the day. She knows deep down in her soul that if she had just come clean from the very beginning, Curtis might never have had to face a judge and jury. It is a tough pill to swallow, realizing that your silence has put a good man in the crosshairs of the justice system. I can only imagine the sleepless nights she is having, tossing and turning, staring at the ceiling while the rest of the house sleeps peacefully. And it is not just Curtis who is paying the price for her silence. We have to talk about poor Isaiah Gannon. Here is a man who worked his entire life to build a solid career, only to watch it all slip through his fingers like sand. Brook Lynn knows that her failure to speak up played a direct role in the ruin of Isaiah's professional life. When you are a good person at heart, which I truly believe Brook Lynn is, knowing that you have destroyed someone else's livelihood is a guilt that clings to you like a shadow. You cannot wash it off, you cannot run away from it, and you certainly cannot hide from it forever. It is a heavy cross to bear, and you can see it wearing her down day by day, hour by hour. But to really understand why she is keeping her lips sealed, we have to take a walk down memory lane to that fateful night. We have all made mistakes, haven't we? We have all had moments of poor judgment that we pray nobody ever finds out about. Brook Lynn had been drinking that evening. Now, she did not feel drunk, and she probably thought she was perfectly fine to get behind the wheel. We all know folks who have made that exact same rationalization. But she also knew the law, and she knew that if she was pulled over, she might not pass a breathalyzer test. The fear of those flashing red and blue lights in her rearview mirror was enough to make her panic. She was sweating bullets, terrified of what a DUI would do to her life, so she kept her foot on the gas when she should have hit the brakes. To make matters worse, she was in an absolute rush. She wanted to make it to karaoke night in time to see young Gio Palmieri perform. It is one of those cruel ironies of life, isn't it? She risked everything, put her future on the line, and drove recklessly through the dark, all for a karaoke performance that she ended up missing anyway. She arrived too late. All that panic, all that fear, all that terrible decision-making, and it was all for nothing. It just goes to show that when we rush through life trying to beat the clock, we often end up losing so much more than just time. I feel for her in that regard, I really do, because we have all been in a hurry and made foolish choices, though perhaps not with such catastrophic consequences. The crash itself is something straight out of a nightmare. Picture this. It is pitch black out there on Route 91, the kind of dark that swallows your headlights whole. Brook Lynn is driving, her mind racing a mile a minute, and suddenly she has to swerve hard. She slams right into the guardrail. In the chaos and the darkness, she never even saw the other car. She never realized that there was another vehicle out there, let alone that her actions had forced it completely off the road and down a steep embankment. She thought she had just had a close call, a lucky escape. She had no idea that while she was catching her breath, a tragedy was unfolding just out of sight in the dark ravine below. When the truth finally came to light, when she realized what had actually happened to Jordan Ashford, it must have felt like a physical blow to the stomach. My heart just aches when I think about the horrific burns Jordan suffered in that fiery crash. Fire is a terrible, unforgiving thing, and the pain Jordan has endured is unimaginable. Brook Lynn knows that if she had just made one different choice that night, Jordan might never have been burned. Curtis might have been saved long before the flames ever took hold. The agony of those what-ifs must be absolutely deafening for her. What if she had just stayed home? What if she had taken a cab? What if she had just been honest from the start? The most frustrating part of it all is how easily she could have helped without even incriminating herself. She would not have had to confess to drinking. She would not have had to admit to hitting the guardrail. All she had to do was pick up her cell phone, dial 911, and report an erratic driver on Route 91. She could have just said she had to swerve to avoid someone and asked the police to send a patrol car to check the area. If she had made that one simple anonymous phone call from the safety of her car, emergency responders would have found Jordan and Curtis so much sooner. It is a realization that must haunt her every time she closes her eyes. A simple phone call could have changed history, but we cannot talk about Brook Lynn's silence without talking about the biggest piece of the puzzle, sweet little Phoebe. This is where my heart really goes out to her, and I think any mother or grandmother listening today can understand this part of her struggle. Brook Lynn and Harrison Chase are in the very final stages of adopting Phoebe. They have signed the papers, they have jumped through the hoops, and they are standing on the threshold of becoming a forever family. The love a mother has for her child, even an adopted one, is a fierce protective force. It is stronger than anything else in this world. Brook Lynn is terrified that if she fails a breathalyzer, or if she gets arrested for leaving the scene of an accident, the adoption agency will pull the plug. She would lose her little girl. When you look at it from that perspective, you can see the impossible choice she is facing. Does she tell the truth, clear her conscience, and save Curtis, only to destroy her own family and break Chase's heart? Or does she stay quiet, protect her husband and her daughter, and live with the soul-crushing guilt of what happened to Jordan and Isaiah? It is a classic catch-22, folks. There is no easy way out, and there is no choice that does not leave a trail of broken hearts behind. She is fiercely protecting her family, but the poison of that secret is slowly killing her spirit. You can see the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she forces a smile when Chase talks about their future together. As if the guilt over the accident and the adoption was not enough to drive a person crazy, Brook Lynn has also managed to overextend herself in other areas of her life. She is running around making promises she cannot keep. She recently told Gio and Trina Robinson that she was going to fix the whole messy situation with Simon. Now, I do not know about you, but when I am carrying a mountain of stress on my back, the last thing I need is to add another boulder to the pile. But that is exactly what she has done. She wants so badly to be the hero, to be the person who fixes things for the people she cares about, but she is completely out of her depth. She is not even sure she can handle the Simon situation, but she promised anyway, just adding more fuel to her own personal fire. It is all building up to a breaking point. You can only sweep so much dirt under the rug before you trip over it. Brook Lynn desperately wants to get this off her chest. She wants to spill the beans, to just let the truth flow out of her and wash away the guilt. She knows that if she does not do it soon, it might be too late. The trial is moving forward, the tension is rising, and the window of opportunity to do the right thing is rapidly closing. She is thinking about confessing, maybe not in the middle of the courtroom with all eyes on her, but perhaps privately to someone she trusts. She just needs one person to share the load with, one person to tell her that she is not a monster, just a human being who made a terrible, tragic mistake. In the end, we are all just folks trying to do our best in a complicated world. I look at Brook Lynn, and I do not see a villain. I see a scared young woman who let fear take the wheel, and now she is lost in the woods without a map. I truly hope she finds the courage to step into the light. Secrets have a way of coming out anyway, usually in the most painful way possible. If she can just find the bravery to own up to her actions, she might lose some things, but she will gain her soul back. And that, my friends, is worth more than all the gold in the world. We will just have to keep watching and praying that she finds her way